Welcome to the Divorce the IRS Podcast, the retirement income planning podcast designed specifically for those who want to pay the least amount of taxes possible and build a retirement income that lasts. Inspired by the best-selling book, Divorce the IRS, you get to go behind the scenes with financial planner, author, and speaker Jimmy Miller. Learn how to set yourself up to pay the least amount of taxes in retirement when you'll need your money the most. And now, here's your host, Jimmy Miller.
Welcome to episode 24 of the Divorce the IRS podcast. In the last episode, we covered a strategy you can use to access your pre-tax IRA money before the age of 59 and a half called 72T. Today, we're going to talk about another strategy that can also help you with early access to pre-tax retirement funds. This one won't help you with your IRA money, though. This one is designed to allow access to your workplace retirement plan, like a 401k, a 403b, or other qualified workplace retirement plans. This strategy is called the Rule of 55. And if you're planning to retire at 55 or any time between 55 and before 59 and a half, this is one of those rules you really need to understand before you decide to retire, and especially before you decide to roll over your money anywhere or start taking any withdrawals. Because if you do this correctly, it can save you a lot of money. If you do it incorrectly, the IRS will be more than happy to collect a 10% early withdrawal penalty that you may not have needed to pay. So let's dive right in. The Rule of 55 is one of the IRS allowed exceptions to the 10% early withdrawal penalty, and the legal authority comes from the Internal Revenue Code, Section 72T. This was added by the Tax Reform Act of 1986, and it's the same section that allows for the substantially equal periodic payments we discussed in the last episode. In plain English, the Rule of 55 says that if you leave your job in or after the calendar year you turn 55, you may be able to take the money from that employer's retirement plan without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. The Rule of 55 only removes the 10% early withdrawal penalty. It does not remove ordinary income tax, and that distinction matters. This is not a strategy to divorce the IRS per se. This is a strategy to stop the IRS from charging you an unnecessary toll on the way out. Now, there are a few things and rules you should know about the Rule of 55. The first big rule is timing. You must separate from service in or after the calendar year you turn 55. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of the rule. Let's say you turn 55 in November. If you separate from your employer in March of that same year while you're still 54, you are separating in the year that you turn 55, and that can satisfy the age timing requirement. But if you leave your employer in the year you turn 54 and then wait until you're 55 to start taking withdrawals, that does not work. You did not separate in or after the year you turn 55. You separated too early. That is a painful mistake because it feels like it should work. You might say, well, I'm 55 now, so what's the problem? The problem is that the rule is based on when you separate from service, not just how old you are when you take the money. So if early retirement is on the table and you are close to 55, do not casually pick your retirement date. A few months could be worth 10% of every dollar you withdraw, and 10% is real money. On $50,000 withdrawal, that's $5,000. That's a nice vacation, and it's a lot of money to hand to the IRS just because your timing was off. The second rule to understand is that the Rule of 55 applies to qualified workplace retirement plans only, such as 401ks, 403bs, and other similar pre-tax retirement plans. The rule is not available for IRAs. This is a big deal. If you retire at 56 and immediately roll your 401k to an IRA, you may have just rolled away your Rule of 55 access. The money is still yours and it's still tax deferred, but if you then take the money from that IRA before 59 and a half, the Rule of 55 generally does not protect that IRA withdrawal. You would now have to use the 72T strategy that we discussed in the last episode, which is much more complicated and has a lot more rules you would need to follow. Sometimes rolling a 401k to an IRA makes sense, but if you are retiring between 55 and 59 and a half and you need income from that money, rolling everything to an IRA too quickly can be an expensive mistake. You need a plan before you move your money, not after. There's another trap you should be aware of. The Rule of 55 is tied to separation from service from your current employer. Imagine you worked for Company A in your 30s, and you left that job at age 40, and still have an old 401k sitting there. Then at age 56, you retire from Company B. The Company B 401k may qualify for the Rule of 55 withdrawals because you separated from Company B after reaching the right age. But the old Company A 401k is a different story. You separated from Company A at the age of 40. That was not in or after the year you turned 55. So you can't assume every old 401k suddenly becomes a Rule of 55 account just because you're now 55. It doesn't. This creates an interesting planning opportunity, though. If your current employer plan accepts rollovers from old 401ks or IRAs, you may be able to move your money into your current workplace plan before you separate. Then, when you retire after meeting the Rule of 55 timing requirement, more of your pre-tax money may be available under that employer plan. But this depends on the plan. The IRS says plans are permitted to distribute after certain events, but a plan is not required to allow every possible distributable event. And the plan document controls when distributions can be made. So you need to ask some questions before retirement day. Does your plan accept roll-ins? Does it allow partial withdrawals after separation? Does it allow monthly, quarterly, or annual withdrawals? Does it force you to take a lump sum? Can you set up flexible income from the plan? The tax code may open the door, but the plan document decides how wide the door actually swings. Now, the next thing to keep in mind is that the Rule of 55 is not a tax-free retirement strategy. It's a penalty-free access strategy, and that's a very different thing. If you withdraw $60,000 from a traditional 401k, that $60,000 is generally taxable income. The Rule of 55 may save you from the extra $6,000 penalty, but it does not erase the income tax. And this is where the Divorce the IRS philosophy still matters. Every dollar in your pre-tax 401k is not fully yours. You have a silent partner in that account. The IRS has been waiting patiently since the day you took the deduction. And when you take the withdrawal, they want their share. That's why I always say it was really more like a little loan from the IRS than a deduction. So the question is not just, can I access the money? The better question is, how do I access this money in the most tax-efficient way possible? The strategy is not the withdrawal. The strategy is the plan around the withdrawal. Let's take a look at a quick example. Imagine Sarah is 56 years old. She has $700,000 in her current employer's traditional 401k. She also has $150,000 in an IRA from an old job. Sarah wants to retire now, and she needs about $50,000 per year from her investments until she reaches age 59 and a half. If Sarah separates from service at age 56, leaves her 401k in the plan, she may be able to take withdrawals from that 401k without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. She still pays ordinary income tax on the withdrawals, but no 10% penalty. Now let's change the facts just a little bit. She retires at 56, and the first thing she does is roll the entire 401k into her IRA because that's what her friend told her to do. Then she takes a $50,000 withdrawal from the IRA. Now she may have a problem. That IRA withdrawal is before 59 and a half, and the Rule of 55 does not generally apply to IRA distributions. So unless Sarah qualifies for another exception, she may owe income tax plus the 10% penalty. That's a $5,000 mistake on a $50,000 withdrawal. Now, some of you may be thinking, how does this compare to the 72T strategy discussed in the last episode, and why don't I just use that? And that's a really good question. The difference is generally flexibility and timing. A 72T payment strategy can potentially give access to retirement money before 59 and a half at almost any age, but it comes with strict payment rules. You generally have to keep taking the calculated payments for the longer of 5 years or until you're age 59 and a half, whichever's longer. And if you mess it up, the penalties can come back retroactively. The Rule of 55 is usually cleaner. There's no required 5-year payment schedule under the Rule of 55 itself. You're not locked into a formula in the same way. If the employer plan allows flexible withdrawals, you may be able to take just what you need when you need it. So neither strategy is automatically better. They're just tools. And like most tools, they're useful when used for the right job and dangerous when used without understanding the instructions. It's also worth mentioning that there is a special version of this rule for certain public safety employees, like police officers and firefighters. For this group, the age 55 rule can be replaced with age 50 or 25 years of service under the plan, whichever is earlier. Now, let's go over a step-by-step checklist you can use before you retire between the ages of 55 and 59 and a half. First, confirm the year that you turn 55 and the date you'll separate from service. Second, confirm whether your employer plan allows partial withdrawals after separation, because if they don't, the Rule 55 doesn't matter and it won't help you. Third, ask whether the plan accepts rollovers from old 401ks or IRAs before you retire. This is important only if you need to move old plan money into your current plan for early access. Fourth, Don't roll your current 401k into an IRA until you know whether you need the Rule of 55 access. Fifth, estimate the taxes on any withdrawals. Understand what marginal and effective tax rates are going to look like for you. Sixth, coordinate direct withholding if the plan allows it, or estimated payments if it doesn't. You don't need penalties for not withholding when you should have at the end of the year. Seventh, compare the Rule of 55 against other income sources like taxable accounts, Roth contribution basis, cash reserves, or a 72T plan. And eighth, make sure this fits your long-term tax plan, not just your first year of retirement plan. Because retiring early is great. Retiring early and handing the IRS more money than necessary is not. So in closing, the Rule of 55 is one of those strategies that sounds simple, and in some ways it is. It's best thought of as an early retirement bridge and can help you cross the gap between leaving work and reaching 59 and a half. But you still need to know where that bridge leads. That's it for this episode of Divorce the IRS Podcast. If you're thinking about retiring early, especially between 55 and 59 and a half, don't wait until after you retire to figure this all out. Build the income plan first. Confirm the plan rules. Understand the tax impacts, then make your moves. As always, this podcast is for general education only. It's not legal, tax, or investment advice. Everyone's situation is totally different, so work with a qualified professional who understands your full picture before making any retirement account decisions. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Want even more ideas, tools, and resources on how to navigate your financial life? Check out all the resources on the Divorce the IRS website at divorce-the-irs.com or the Baobab Wealth website at baobabwealth.com, and subscribe to the blog to stay up to date on issues affecting retirement income planning. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Baobab Wealth and Baobab Wealth Abroad are DBAs of Baobab Wealth LLC, a Florida registered investment advisor. This podcast is designed for general education purposes only and shouldn't be taken as legal, investment, or tax advice. You should seek out a qualified tax professional or licensed financial advisor to determine what is best for your personal situation.